So, this is a video about London's retro skyscrapers. Behind me is the Victoria Tower, and that was completed in 1858. Not a skyscraper in the strictest sense of the words, but I want to start here because back in the day that would have been the skyscraper of its day. For the next one we have to jump over 100 years into the future after this was built. I'm going to do it in chronological order, so year by year. That's 1858, obviously the earliest skyscraper type building to be built in London. So we've jumped forward 100 years to the 1960s, and this is the first of two buildings to be completed in 1961 that reached over 100 metres. That is the Empress State Building. It's actually taller now because they've added bits to it to make it taller, but when it was built it was 100 metres tall. That is the Shell Centre, or the Upstream Building as it's been known in the past. That is the second of two retro skyscrapers built in 1961. That is 107 metres high. Rather a grand looking building if you ask me. This is one of three retro skyscrapers built in 1963, and on completion at 119 metres tall, this was the tallest building in London, surpassing St Paul's Cathedral that had held the title of tallest building for hundreds of years. That is the Millbank Tower. Also completed in 1963 is the 101 metre high Hilton Park Lane. This is the third and last of the retro skyscrapers to be built in 1963, also at 101 metres tall. This is Portland House. Built in 1966, this is the BT Tower, although when it opened it would have been called the Post Office Tower. At 177 metres high, it was the tallest habitable building ever built in London. But that is City Point, originally called Britannic House. Completed in 1967. It has undergone some renovation and the height has increased over time. This is the first of two skyscrapers built in 1967. So this is Centre Point, also built in 1967. It's 117 metres tall. It's one of the more iconic and recognisable retro skyscrapers. So behind me, at 118 metres tall, and the last building on this list from the 1960s, is St Helens, previously known as the Commercial Union Tower, built in 1969. Looks pretty much the same as it always has done. It's been renovated over time, but it hasn't changed much in appearance. We've made it to the 1970s and I still haven't been born yet, believe it or not. But this in front of me here is the Euston Tower. That was built in 1970. This is the Hyde Park Barracks Tower. At 94 metres, this is the second of two towers built in 1970. And Sir Basil Spencer's tallest creation. There were 3 tall buildings completed in 1972. This was the King's Reach Tower. It's been greatly increased in height since it was completed. On completion it was 111 metres high. Also completed in 1972 is the Stock Exchange Tower. It's 100 metres high. I mean, this bears no resemblance to the original building. I'll try and put a picture of what it used to look like. This is Erno Goldfinger's Trellick Tower at 98 metres. This is the third of 3 tall buildings built in London in 1972. Behind me is the Cromwell Tower, one of 3 identical towers built in the Barbican Centre in the City of London during the 1970s. The Cromwell Tower was completed in 1973. This is the second Barbican Tower to be constructed in the 1970s. This is the Lauderdale Tower. This was finished in 1974. Also built in 1974 was the 143 metre tall Guy's Hospital Tower. And at the time it was the tallest hospital in the world. This is the Shakespeare Tower. This is the last of the saw-toothed giants built in the Barbican Centre in the City of London during the 1970s. Completed in 1976 at 123 metres tall. This is 99 Bishopsgate. It's hard to believe that on completion in 1976 this was one of the tallest buildings in the City of London, standing at 104 metres tall. It's been reclad since it was completed back then, but it still resembles pretty much what it used to look like when it was built. So we're at 1979 now, and this is One Angel Court, and this was 97 metres when it was first completed. It's had a lot of alterations done to it and it bears no resemblance to the original building. I'll try and insert a picture of what it used to look like here. And we've made it to the last building on the list, completed in 1980. This is Tower 42, or better known as the NatWest Tower when it was completed back then. This was London's first true skyscraper. So look at this, I noticed in the window here. That is number 20 Fenchurch Street, before it was knocked down and rebuilt again. Or a representation of it, a painting, I can recognise that straight away. That is the Newgate Gallery in Clerkenwell Road. I wonder how much that costs. That was painted in 97. Does it say down there? P. Robinson, 97. A little bit of history there. A little bit of skyscraper history. If I had deeper pockets, I might shell out for that.